Good morning. It is so great to be here. It's always a pleasure to get your day started by talking about some of the great things that are going on in the pharmacy profession in the state of West Virginia. And I am here with three of my favorite people in the state who are doing some great things to really elevate our pharmacy practice throughout the state, and in particular to help a lot of our pharmacy technicians who are such a integral part of our pharmacy profession that we sometimes overlook, just simply because of how busy we are. But they're such a pivotal part of all of our pharmacies throughout the state. And so I am very excited to introduce to you Bill and Judy Riffey, who have been in academia for over 50 years. Judy is a lead instructor for a pharmacy technician program that we're going to be talking about today. Both Bill and Judy are WVU School of Pharmacy graduates, and Bill is a Dean Emeritus at the University of Florida, and they are now excited to be working again with WVU and working with Ginger Scott, who is a professor and the director of the Office of Continuing Education at the School of Pharmacy. So without further ado, I would like to continue to unwrap a little bit about this education and training program that you have developed for pharmacy technicians. And I know that there's some history behind this program. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the origins of this program?
Well, we began this program probably sometime 10 years ago at the University of Florida, and it was a great success. I think we finished training and educating about over 2,000 pharmacy technicians there. And when we came to back home in West Virginia, we decided to see if we could launch this program out of West Virginia University. And so we sat down with the dean and with Ginger and began to plan it. And it has come to its full fruition. And we're glad to be able to offer this to our pharmacists in West Virginia.
That's so great. So this program, typically how long would it take a student to complete this course?
Well, my estimate, Matt, is perhaps about 170 hours to do the didactic portion of the program. The program is arranged in modules of study, and within the modules, there are units. When I say 170 hours, obviously that's an estimate because it depends upon, there's a lot of reading, and the 170 hours is made up of watching the teaching videos, reading the texts, doing the homework, and then receiving feedback from me on all of the homework. And then they must test out of every single unit before they progress. So obviously, if a student has an amount of time to do so, they can go faster. If they're faster readers, they'll go faster. But that's a stab at about how long I would expect a student to spend just in the didactic portion. And then that would be followed by 120 hours of externship at a practice site with a pharmacist preceptor.
Well, and that sounds like a lot of hours, but when you compare it to the other track to get to a certified technician level, it really cuts down on the number of hours that they're having to spend before they can get to that national certification. And that also cuts down on the amount of time it takes them to get to a higher wage in that pharmacy that they might be working in. So where I see, the number to some people might seem high, it's actually a lot less than the alternative. So it really is a value.
It is a very efficient way to cover a lot of very focused material. We're honed in on the pharmacy technician necessary, the skills to be, and that cuts out a lot of the fluff. It really is a very focused program. And in terms of time, compared to, say, a 2-year course in a community college, it's It's much more efficient, and it's also much less expensive. And you, as you say, it expedites the career path very nicely.
What are some particular advantages that you have seen already in the over 2,000 technicians that you've trained through this program versus that other track that we mentioned?
Well, I think the absolute most advantageous thing about this program is that it's completely self-paced. So you can start, there is no cohort. You can start whenever you want to start, and you can go as fast as you are comfortable going. So it's very individualized in terms of pace. And that's a really important thing for most students. And another great advantage to this course is that we are PTCB, Pharmacy Technician Certification Board approved. Our program is a PTCB recognized program. And what that means is from the time, well, it means two things. First of all, in the design of the program, I have tried to include virtually all of the, what PTCB calls knowledge areas, include all of the knowledge areas that they have suggested be included in the expertise coming out of a pharmacy technician education and training program. So it's very PTCB oriented. But the second thing that is an advantage is if a student has successfully completed and has a certification of completion for a PTCB approved program, then that waives the 500 hours of practice that they normally would have to do before they can register for the exam. So coming out of a program like ours, if they are ready, if they feel like they're ready to take the exam, honestly, they can take it as soon as they have the certificate in hand. So that waiving of that extra 500 hours of practice time is a very important thing. And as you have indicated, it really does expedite the career path.
We could probably estimate that well over 98% of our students have passed the PTCB exam the first go around.
Yeah, we have a very, very positive pass rate on the exam.
That's awesome. Well, and the one thing that stands out in my mind is, if you talk to anybody who's working in a pharmacy right now, I bet you almost nobody is saying, oh, we have loads of time to train our staff. There's just ample opportunities to train our staff. And so with that being said, I think giving a opportunity to have personalized attention and a training course that allows them to get through the material and get prepared for the exam, it sets them up with a bit of confidence going into that exam, so that pass rate is what you described. And so I think that it takes some of the burden off of our pharmacists who are working very hard and having to juggle a bunch of things in the workflow of a pharmacy, to be able to say, here's a way that you can get your training, get it done quicker, get it done better, and then we can get you that national certification, we can get you that premium wage that is at the top of your bracket, and we can start you in this profession, start you off in this as a career path that will set you up for a fruitful future. So to me, giving not only technicians the ability to go through a program like this, but also giving pharmacists opportunity to not have to juggle one more ball in the workflow of day-to-day pharmacy is just so crucial. So as a pharmacist who is working in that pharmacy, I thank you for giving this option out there, because I know that sometimes it's a struggle to get everything done and then make sure that we're training our technicians appropriately and getting them ready for the certification.
Good point, Matt. I did want to mention also, in terms of just advantages of the program, there are a lot of online programs out there, and The disadvantage of some online education programs is they tend to be pretty impersonal. It's difficult to connect when you have minimal real contact with the instruction portion of the program. And so we've really tried to keep this as personal as we possibly can. I give personal feedback one-on-one to every student for every piece of homework that they submit. So when they finish this course, they feel like the student and I feel like we know each other pretty well. I do a lot of one-on-one. If there's a stumbling block in the course, if they hit upon some math that they have difficulty with, then we stop and do some one-on-one remedial work with them so that they have that confidence that you're speaking of to go forward and to be successful, not only in taking the national certification exam, but just in practice in general. So as much as we can, we try to personalize this course and still keep that advantage of online self-pace that it has.
Are you some sort of superhero that you're able to provide this individual?
I'll defer to my husband on that one.
You mentioned so far getting 2,000 technicians through, and to be able to give individual attention to each of them is just truly impressive. So,
well, the saving grace again is that there is no cohort. They are going through at their pace, and that gives me a pace that I can follow also.
That's awesome. Bill, do you want to comment? Is she a superhero?
Always has been, and is increasing in power as we speak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have a lot less than 2,000 that I oversee, and so I can only imagine what 2,000 technicians going through at different paces and different times, and being able to still provide that attention is truly impressive. So when we talk about this course, explain a little bit about how this course works. Like, do you follow a textbook?
We actually have 3 textbooks in the course. So there is the primary course textbook, and then there is a laboratory or a student workbook, and most of the homework comes out of the workbook. And as all of us identify with, that term workbook is exactly what it says. It's working with the knowledge, putting in the basic knowledge into case studies, and it calls for the students to make some judgment calls and to substantiate why they made that decision. So the textbook, the workbook, and then there's a separate pharmacy math book. And I think it's necessary to really hammer in on the math. It tends to be an area that does give some students some challenges, not all, but many. And so we really do have kind of separate out that math in terms of the textbook treatment. So the course is made up of 6 modules, and the last 2 are primarily what we would think of as physiology, anatomy, pharmacology, kind of all lumped together. In other words, we study by body systems just in those last 2 modules. And for instance, in the GI, anatomy, physiology, what does it look like? What does it work like? And if something goes wrong, what are the main diseases that we see? And in those disease processes, what are the most common treatments? And then that brings in the meds. So within those last 2 modules, they do have what has loosely been called the top 200 drugs. But as we know, there are many, many top 200 lists. So I simply have picked them and I edit that as we go along. But I do want them to be familiar with drug names, both generic and brand names, and the use of drugs. Coming out of this course, they need to have at least a basic knowledge of the stuff they're going to touch most frequently. And obviously that's going to grow as they practice. The second portion of their education is the experiential portion. And that's what we call the externship, where they serve that 120 hours in a practice site. And there is a very specific list of competencies that accompany that portion of the course. And they need to satisfy all of those competencies and be signed off by their pharmacy preceptor before they can complete that. And Ginger, if you'd like to speak more to the externship program, part of the program.
I'll be happy to. When we started working on the pharmacy technician education and training program with Bill and Judy, Judy is the lead faculty member, and once they finish the didactic portion, she notifies us. And at that time, we primarily do the externship portion of the program. And our role in that is we, first of all, to back up a little bit, we start out with making sure they have the forms that they need to the Board of Pharmacy that it certifies that they are actually in the program. And then at the end of the program, we certify that they have completed the program and also issue a certificate. Now, for a student to be able to go to an externship site, the site actually we have to have an affiliation agreement with that site between WVU and the practice site. And any pharmacist in the pharmacy can be a preceptor for the program. And we have to make sure that they complete the competencies, as Judy said, and they fill out a form. And once that form's completed, they've completed their 120 hours and completed all their competencies. We will issue a certificate at that time. And also issue a form to the Board of Pharmacy saying that they have completed the program.
At that point, when they're ready to sit for the exam, they can sit for the national certification exam.
So if I have a technician that I want to send through this training program, but I'm not already signed up, I can get signed up with the School of Pharmacy to be a externship site.
Right, correct.
So that way they're staying in my pharmacy after the didactic portion is done. They're just fulfilling their obligation to the rest of the course through my site and then reporting it back to you, correct?
That is correct. Also, you can have a student sign up from your site, but maybe a student just comes and wants to take the pharmacy technician program. They can, and then we work with them to find a site that they would like to go to get that site signed up if they are not already have an affiliate. We don't have affiliation agreement with them.
Uh-huh.
That's great that you're pairing people with sites that might best be able to help them fulfill that obligation and show them real world experience. We know how important the connection is between the didactic knowledge that they receive and then how do they transform it into application, and to be able to facilitate in making sure that technicians get into those sites where they're best able to transfer that knowledge over is just so critical in the development of that technician. So I applaud you on everything that is. This is just a wonderful resource that you have put together. And I think it's just amazing. Like you mentioned, the last two modules are dealing with pharmacology and body systems, and you're going through the systems and talking like that's what a lot of pharmacy schools teach in that same way. So we're really not doing anything different. It's just a different approach to how we're teaching our technicians alongside of us.
One other thing to mention, Matt, is I think this program can also, if some student is interested in going through the program, they can become a pharmacy technician. And it's also good groundwork for them if they want to go on and apply for pharmacy school. It's an excellent, and many of the pharmacy technicians actually have done that, I think, over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, pharmacy school is extremely competitive, and having just one little extra piece on your resume just might really stand out, and to be able to show them that you took a PTCB approved course on how to work in a pharmacy setting to prepare you for a journey through pharmacy school and the pharmacy profession. I think I don't sit on any evaluation boards for students, but I'm sure that's something that's looked at. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean, you look at all their extra things that they have done during their lifetime to be, a good candidate. And it's not, students have good grades, but they can also have a lot of external experience, which plays a big part in the admission process.
There's a lot of applicants that have great grades. What's the difference between two students that have great grades? It's all the extras. So I know that it was that way what seems like eons ago when I went through the application process, and it probably has not changed. If anything, it's gotten even more competitive, and you have more students trying to find that extra differentiation from the rest of the pack. So having something like this on your resume is just a great way to stand out and show that you're really interested and beyond just submitting an application, that you've already started your journey in pharmacy.
One of the advantages we have in this program is that it's taught by a pharmacist who has overseen technicians and knows how the system works, rather than somebody that's not had that experience.
And based on that, the knowledge that Judy has, also students would find if they decide to go into pharmacy school, the content that they have learned will also be helpful to them in their coursework.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I know that when I went through pharmacy school, it was a absolute saving grace that I already knew most of the drugs. I already knew a lot of the calculations. So that first year, I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was easier because I had all of that already in my tool belt, and I didn't have to learn it on the fly like a lot of my classmates did. So whenever I talk to a young person who is interested in pharmacy, I always tell them that before you do anything, experience it. Get in the pharmacy and see what that's like. Make sure that it is something that you want to do, and that once you get in there, you realize this is absolutely what you want to do. Just be a sponge, absorb as much of it as you can. And, whether it be through the didactic portion of a training program like this, absorbing that knowledge, or transferring it over into real world application in the externship part. Having a background in pharmacy prior to pharmacy school, I think, benefits everyone. There's no downside to it. We know that sometimes the online programs can be sort of impersonal. And I know you mentioned that you have a personal touch with a lot of the technicians. Are there any additional comments that you would like to make as far as how you conduct that personal one-on-one training? And I know that, for example, before we sat down, you took me through a little bit of the training course online and showed me how it works. And it was super user friendly, super easy to walk through module by module. They were kind of very concise in terms of, short little course areas that you could pick up here and there, and you didn't have to sit for an hour and a half at a time. So tell me a little bit more about the didactic portion and how you've molded it to kind of be one size fits all for, whatever the needs are of that person.
Well, this is an entry-level course for, in general, pharmacy practice. So it's not community focused, and it's not hospital focused. They're both in there. The skills that are needed for all kinds of pharmacy practice are included in the course. We even have a section, for instance, just going down kind of the hospital track. We have a section on sterile products. I did a video in the clean room doing a little show and tell for some basic techniques in the clean room. Same with non-sterile compounding. I did a video for, again, a bit of a show and tell about how you do some compounding. So we've tried to keep it as broad-based as possible so that regardless of what kind of pharmacy practice students might go into first, second, third, as they change careers, change places of practice in their career, that they would, all of this is basic, applicable knowledge for all kinds of pharmacy practice.
It's also pretty technology advanced. The entire program is searchable. So if you have a particular drug or something that you want to review, you can simply type that in the search and it will take you to whichever part of the program that was talked about.
We've been very successful in terms of the ability for the students to access the program without technical difficulties. The LMS that we use is well developed, and students in general don't have any problem with that part of the program.
Yeah, I noticed when we went through it earlier that it seemed like a very smooth training program platform that is similar to that like you would see in some of the bigger pharmacy companies, that they, roll out different trainings throughout the year that technicians or pharmacists have to do. That it was very, very smooth, very user friendly, very easy to log in, get started, pick up where you left off. There just so many different advantages to being able to have it at your own pace, and knowing that we have technicians who have family lives and have other obligations, and they're trying to maybe improve their career by going through this program and getting on the track to national certification, that they're able to still take care of their family, take care of, all the other things that they have to do. And they can pick this up as time allows. And then really, once they get out of this program, they're able to provide better for those families that I just mentioned. So I love the fact that we're giving this opportunity to technicians in the state of West Virginia, because I think it's something that is long overdue. And not only are you offering this, but you're offering it in such an easy way that it's a huge benefit to anybody that decides to go through it. So I guess the one thing that we haven't talked about yet is the cost and how to get enrolled and all the nuts and bolts of getting started. We've talked about the program. Now let's talk about how do they get signed up or set up through this program.
The contact can come directly to Ginger, could come directly to me, and we can get that rolling. The cost of the program for an individual tuition is $27.95. That's fairly competitive, I think, across the board for these kinds of programs. But we have a number of flexible group discounts. We really encourage partnership opportunities among pharmacy groups that would like to enroll more than one student. So we're open to all of those sorts of things. Ginger, any other thoughts on enrollment and so on?
I think that covers it all. Like Judy said, the contact can come to either of us, and we will get them in contact on how to get enrolled and signed up in the program and the other information that they need to know.
So we're going to drop both your contact information in the podcast episode notes, so that anybody that's listening to this, all you got to do is go to your notes from this episode and send an email or communicate with either one of these ladies, who will be able to help you. And that's for any technician that wants to get signed up. That's for anybody who is not yet a technician and wants to get started on a career path towards pharmacy technician. That is for any pharmacy owner who wants to start a group package to start that conversation with them. That is for any pharmacy that would like to be an externship site and isn't already signed up. Let's help them out by providing some excellent externship sites for these young men and women that are on their way into the pharmacy profession. and really get them excited about their future in pharmacy. I know a lot of us started out as pharmacy technicians, myself included, and so I'm always very anxious to help any young man or woman who wants to get started in the pharmacy profession, because I think that it has done me well and it's done a number of my colleagues well to help us to have very happy and healthy lives. So I I thank you guys so much for bringing this program to not just the state of West Virginia, but in particular the state of West Virginia. It's always good to have some West Virginians helping to come up with solutions. I always talk about the fact that West Virginia doesn't always create our problems, but we sure find ways to solve them. And I think in this case, you guys did exactly that. We've got a potential problem in trying to get our technicians up to the competency level, given all the busyness that's going on in our pharmacies right now. And we are giving a solution that can fast track our technicians to a national certification status, a better pay grade, a better future in pharmacy. The one thing that I really need to harp on is the fact that we tend to have in some of our pharmacies, we have a problem with technicians that aren't staying with us very long. We get them signed up as a technician trainee. They go through the program for a short time period and they bounce right back out. And part of that is because they're not confident in their abilities. You know, we really need to make sure that we're setting them up for success by making them confident and giving them the tools they need and giving them an education course, which you have outlined. And I think you have 2,000 5-star ratings already. So I think that goes to show that we have a program here that deserves both technicians and pharmacy owners' attention to make sure that we're getting our technicians up to that level to where we can keep them happy and keep them engaged. And we all know that it costs more to train somebody brand new than it does to keep somebody in our pharmacies. And so, stop the turnover, save some money, and develop your technicians to keep them around. So I thank you guys so much. Any last comments before we sign off today?
We will be at the WVPA annual meeting. So anybody that has any questions, we're more than welcome to talk with them.
Bill, that's a great opportunity for a shameless plug of our West Virginia Pharmacists Association annual meeting, which is October 7th and 8th at Stonewall Resort. It's a beautiful resort if you've never been there. We have a lot of great topics. We have a lot of technician CE that is available. So if you're already a technician and are hearing this, come out. We want you to participate with us. Our educational opportunities are top notch this year. Our entertainment opportunities are going to be pretty cool too. So if you are interested, go to our website, wvpharmacy.org, where you can click on the advertisement for our annual meeting and get all the information you need to get signed up. So thank you, Bill, for giving me that opportunity for a shameless plug. But it is important to note that they will be there at our vendor showcase to pass out information and make sure that you have all the details you need in order to start getting your technicians signed up and trained up and ready for a happy and healthy career in pharmacy.
Yep.
So again, thank you to Ginger, Bill, Judy. It's been an absolute pleasure. I always enjoy sitting down talking with you, and I look forward to seeing all of you on October 7th and 8th in Stonewall Resort.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.